Accelerite is a wholly owned subsidiary of Persistent Systems. For those of you who are not aware of Persistent Systems, Persistent is a mid-tier software engineering and services company. Its 2015 reported revenues were $351 million, and it has close to 10,000 employees. Persistent is headquartered out of Pune. A couple of years back, Persistent carved out its software product business as a distinct and separate market entity from its core services and engineering business, and this was termed Accelerite. There were a couple of reasons for creating this market identity. One, there were a few acquisitions that were being planned, which were software product or business acquisitions, which are now housed under the umbrella of Accelerite, and the other reason was to really have a separate market focus and a strategic focus on both the software product business as well as the services business separately. In Accelerite, we've grown steadily over the last couple of years since our inception. We've acquired businesses and scaled up these businesses to vertically expand to different product capabilities and solution sets. We acquired an API monetization company called Epona, which was earlier acquired by Intel. This is a UK-based company, and Intel had acquired it a few years back, and we acquired it from Intel last year, and about 12 months back, and we continue to have a very strategic global relationship with Intel, where we are working on different API and IoT programs. As an extension of the core platform, we've also launched an IoT platform, which is called the Accelerite Concert IoT platform. There was another acquisition earlier this year from Citrix, which is what we're going to be elaborating today about, which is the cloud platform. And within the cloud stack, within the cloud suite, I would say that there are a series of products and services which include CloudSense, the Cloud Portal Business Manager, and the ER Cloud, which is the disaster recovery capability. We acquired a product called Radia, which is a unified endpoint management capability from HP. Then there is location. We have a vertical on location products and mobile workforce management. Part of this capability was acquired from OpenWave. Apart from these four key products areas that we have a few in-house products which are developed within Accelerite, which include Share Insights, which is an interesting business intelligence and data mining tool, which could be very useful to various different enterprise contexts. Let's move on to the other slides. Yeah, so let me pass on from this point onwards to Manjunath Devadega, who heads pre-sales. Let him explain. He's going to explain you our customer base and take you through the rest of the webinar, which includes the product capabilities on cloud. Manjunath, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Akhil. And once again, thanks for everyone who has joined this webinar. So with some of these big acquisitions that we have done recently, and some of those which are 2 years old, to the likes of HP, Radia, which is now Accelerite Endpoint Management Solution, There's been a huge customer base also that we acquired and business that we acquired, which we are currently running and sustaining those customer base, right? So with this experience from past 3 years, we have been addressing this customer base across different verticals, across different scale of customers, right from to the scale of, if you look at a typical landscape of an endpoint management customer, some of the biggest implementation in the industry to 5 lakh endpoints is managed by Radia. And similarly on cloud solution, if you look at cloud platform, a few of the biggest providers using our solution to the scale of 40,000 host machines being managed by cloud platform. Or even look at Epona as a platform, right? So few of the big telcos in the globe using the solution for API monetization, right? So it becomes, along with this, it also carries with a lot of responsibility in sustaining those customers and making sure that they're happy on the run. And also there is an enough engineering effort goes through in making sure that we are on the edge on the solution and technology upfront. Today, our major focus would be cloud management, our solution on the Accelerite cloud platform. I'll also touch upon very briefly on other solutions, especially on Radia, which is our endpoint management, and Accelerite IoT for Internet of Things. So to take some numbers, some of these are from market stats that we have received. Some heavy and bullish numbers if you look at the way the cloud is moving on in terms of revenues and investments that's going to happen, right? So if you see by 2020, right, or 2019, there's a fair amount of growth in all 3 categories of cloud service. Be it a base infrastructure as a service, the platform as a service, or software as a service, which is going to be really big, and it's moving on really fast today, right? And typically, if you see the trend, the way the software as a service is catching up, that's the expectation in the market, and that's been a huge potential for this specific business. So this is the overall market, especially for APAC, that you see in US $1 million. So that's around 3,527 million. So that's a huge number. So typically, if you look at the way all this derivation on virtualization, it started, right? So the reason for that, the initial start it took was through virtualization, and the reason for virtualization was to bring up that agility, efficiency, self-service, fair amount of automation, ease of your availability. So these are some of the things which drive towards virtualization. So along with virtualization, what happened that was it already was giving you so much to share with, but then there was further automation required, further orchestration that was need, where you can deploy your applications really fast. You're flexible. Self-service is something that you want to enable right from the request of resource to fulfillment. Can it be completely automated, right? Which traditionally outgoes approach of your silo-based manual process involved. So these are some of the challenges which IT had to address, and that is where the direction of your virtualization and automation is driving, where you want to really bring up that efficiency. When you bring up that efficiency by means of reduction of cost, and also including fair amount of automation to the services. Even with virtualization, if you still look at these virtualization piece as a silo-based approach, so to step back, if you look at virtualization, the 3 main components which comprise of virtualization architecture is your compute, network, and storage, right? So even having a dedicated resource would not help much even with the virtualization platform. The reason for that is your complete resource set is silo. It is not across for share, right? And many a times you see that you're either not using at the fullest potential of the resource that you have, or in a demand and a need, you cannot scale up. There is no elasticity because you're bound within that compute resource wall that you have built. So there is, in case if you need to really come out of this, you need to look out for an orchestration across this virtual boundaries so that you can share your compute, network, and storage across these silo-based approach. Some of the very common industry strategies for cloud is that to use something which is proven, matured, easy to manage and deploy, right? So these are some of the common baselines which people would use to to decide on what is their strategy on the cloud. So how easy it can be quickly to demonstrate certain results. Is that something that I have to do everything on my own to customize the tool to accommodate certain results? So, and many a times it so happens that you have your investments already in place. You have certain storage boxes, you have certain virtual platforms, host machines, your network, right? So can I use those investments, leverage those existing investments, and further bring out a layer of my self-service access, or a quota management access, a billing and metering, or my automation in terms of high availability, right? Any of these use cases wherein leveraging your existing investment is something that should be considered always. Your short-term and long-term goal in terms of the tool capacity to address your current, maybe to start with a layer of orchestration for a private VPN and extending it to private cloud, and then maybe extending it to a private cloud with an extension to self-service, and maybe then extending it to an hybrid cloud where it's private plus your public connect, and correlating all that in a single pane. So you may not use everything today, but then in terms of your long-term goal, what you want to do, the capacity of the tool to take there, it becomes a very, very critical component. In all said and done, the most critical component, which I repeat once again, is that self-service. Self-service is enabling the end user to do most of the thing on its own. So automate process right from the request to fulfillment is a very critical component that reduces the whole workflow, which otherwise is manually handled at each interface for the fulfillment. If you look at most of the things, how the enterprise work today, the customer typically would continue to use the on-premise capacity for things that is good as of now, but they would like to burst into the cloud for added capacity. So that becomes your elasticity, right? So the new resources are shared and made available as and when needed. You are scalable and designed for growth. For example, to add new infrastructure, add VMs, add new clusters, So flexible architecture to handle different workloads and different department needs is something that's the new dynamics that we look at. So anywhere you would feel the need of connecting beyond a private cloud for elasticity, scale beyond a requirement where you just add hardware and your orchestration layer takes care of the entire container being extended for another maximum capacity, right? So how can Accelerite help here? So cloud platform, which was initially from Apache Cloud Stack, and then Cloud Stack being the open platform, right? So this has been there longer than OpenStack. So to simplify the whole statement here, cloud platform is a derivation of Cloud Stack, and it's known for its simplicity, known for its value, for easy plugin, and quickly you can see the return coming out of the use cases which are on the plug that you can see, easy to deploy, operate, administer, manage, right? The simplicity is the core differentiator on this specific platform. Proven for scale. It's been there longer by 6-7 years, more than OpenStack. It's been proven. It has seen all the sides of the instances, architectures, the needs of private, public, hybrid cloud instances. There are some of the old instances which are still running at a huge capacity, right? Self-service is one of the key aspects, which is an extension to it, and leveraging your existing infrastructure. So what happens here is from a proven turnkey cloud orchestration platform that enables you to quickly and efficiently build a new cloud solution. So here you trust to power the whole set of resources and enable them as your self-service. So leveraging your existing investments and meeting the enterprise isolation and virtualization, meeting your SLA requirements for running your mission critical workloads. So what is cloud platform? Once again, to revisit, as I said, there are three core resources, right? Your compute, your CPU resource, your storage, and network. And the other side, there's a requirement to consume that is infrastructure as a service, which is exposed to the cloud. And your Accelerite cloud platform is an orchestration layer in between these two, which in order to set up the cloud platform, you take the raw materials, that is your compute, storage, network resources, and this will help you to define an availability zone within cloud platform. And this sets up policies with this availability zone. You now have all that which is available, and help you to define your user accounts and what choices are available to them, such as CPU, memory, disk, and network resources for consumptions. So your definition using the orchestration layer is, once you bring all these resources to an availability zone, then you define users, and then you define what kind of access, how much access is made available to these users, and some of these or many of these is also made available as a self-service to the end users for consumptions. So now what you're seeing is to take the virtualization stack in the data center and adding an orchestration layer around it. So here what happens is you get the networking on demand, compute on demand, or storage on demand without having to affect any layer around that. So it brings up an orchestration layer and automation that help you to private the data center into a cloud instance, made it available for your internal consumption or for your public cloud consumption. So there is a platform. So the platform has the component of compute, network, and storage. And the end user, for example, if I take this as a multi-tenant instance, as an end user side of it, so there are different organizations that you can define, and each organization would have an administrator to administer the entity and the resource set for that organization. And he further will slice and dice the user accounts and give access to those users for that specific organization for which he is entitled to, right? Down below the stream which you have the compute, network, and storage. So it's a completely multi-tenant solution, and we have our customers who are using, even in India, hosting it for public cloud consumption. Cloud platform is a completely vendor agnostic solution. We work with most of the known platforms today, to the likes of VMware, Hyper-V, KVM, even bare metal, Zen servers. Most of the type of access to the storage, either local disk, SCSI, fiber, NFS, object storage, different network services, isolation, firewalls, load balancers, VPN. Now the extension is on network virtualization or software-defined networks is also part of our additional network services. So so it's completely something that you offers you a wide choice of your own down below resource set, and any of these which already exist, right? We will definitely use those resource set and reuse them and build a higher capacity of available resource set instance for you for self-service consumption. Our entire cloud self-service is based on Cloud Portal Business Manager. So the Cloud Portal Business Manager is a layer above the cloud platform, which enables the self-service, the billing, the metering, the access management, the user control. So and also it helps you to integrate with our own cloud platform and also a few of the other third-party instances. For example, the hybrid model that you talk about, if you want to connect with Amazon or something else, so it provides you those third-party or different cloud platform integration gateway. So some of the critical services using cloud platform beyond providing connect to your core cloud platform or any other third-party cloud platform is also your onboarding process of your users, groups, and billing, your metering, your dashboards. Everything is kind of created and delivered using Cloud Platform Business Manager. So some of the examples here is, for example, here the total number of compute and storage, dashboard representation, the spend details about what is the current budget, the billing period. Most of these commercial content derivation happens at the business manager level. So as I said earlier, it's a completely multi-tenant solution. The classification happens as a core platform. Further, you create certain domains, which each domain is an organization by itself, and then you have an administrator who is the core administrator of that specific domain, who has now then rights to create different accounts, which is part of the domain. Or the further slicing would be you create an organization, and normally what happens is within an organization there are different departments. So there is marketing, there is engineering, there is support, there is QA. So many a times you want to slice and dice a resource set consumption and enable self-service across departments within the organization, where there is a concept called subdomain, and you can further slice the administrator specific to those subdomains for further reallocation for users and creation and management of users and resource allocation. And on the IaaS side, the way we classify the resource set at a very high level today, to touch and go for you, to give you some view of how we look at the resource set and from an IaaS perspective. So we consider the entire zone as a classification, as a mapping to a complete data center, and our nomenclature for a rack in a data center is called pods. And within a pod would be contain multiple clusters and hosts. So that means it's nothing but a set of hosts is a cluster, a set of cluster is a pod, and a set of pod within a rack is a data center, and a multiple racks within the data center maps to a zone, right? And there is a basic classification of two types of storage. A cluster has a primary storage for VM, and secondary storage is one which might be common across the entire zone. So I think here what you can understand is the primary storage which is for a cluster, that means the entire cluster, that is the set of hosts and all the VMs, the bare metal OS will reside on that primary storage instance, which will run from that instance, and your images, templates, and the rest of the snapshots which are consumed across your zone is available on the secondary storage, which will be made available further access to across your clusters, pods, hosts, and systems. So the key benefit of cloud platform is that we don't have a vendor lock-in. It's a derivation once again from an open source. You have a variety of choice in terms of the hypervisor, storage, technologies, and it's flexible, extremely easy. See, this is one of our key differentiator in terms, if I have to take a name, a derivation of an open stack it might give you a couple of more features, but running, maintaining, managing them is a very tedious task. So here, simplicity is something which is a very key component in managing cloud platform. Orchestration layer, in terms of scalability, we have seen that multiple geography, multiple instances, collation of those into a single pane of glass for view and monitoring management becomes very easy, proven on the scalable front quite a bit in terms of the customer base that we see who are already using it and running for huge numbers. So it simply works, easy to deploy. Once again, re-emphasizing on this because this is a huge differentiator that we bring in terms of the core platform, fewer moving parts and highly scalable. Some of the very big names, and that's one of the reasons why we are investing very heavily on a couple of things, and one of the key focus here in terms of investment is support in sustaining this huge customer base, large scale, but this is only the 250 of the whole scale, but then there are current active more than 1,600 customers across the globe to manage, run, sustain them, right? So that's a big responsibility. So some of the good customer quotes I will let you read here. Pause for a minute. So the first one is C&W Business. So I'm taking 4.7 user experience. That's the latest that we have. The cloud stack would be 4.8 as of today. So that's one version less that we have made GA and made sure that all the bugs are fixed, and we have a local support team supporting that to you. So this is the initial login screen for the administrator. With credentials you log in, and he would have a couple of moving parts along with the total number of machines that are running, stock, the number of VMs that are currently running. That's the user console. Now you can see that the administrator console would have much more controls here in terms of the storage access that he has and the cluster host access that he has. A lot more granular access to the administrator console because he'll definitely have more power to do certain more things. So a simplified self-service provisioning from an end-user perspective. You see, you select the template and you select the machine instance, the level that you want to, and then you kind of deploy on the specific disk capacity. You select the network and launch for the provision the VM that you want to launch. Some of the monitoring capacity of the tool to understand how is it running, is it at what capacity, from a group, from a host, from a instance perspective. So as I will quickly run through the next 5-7 minutes on the other two solutions that we wanted to cover very briefly. So the other solution that we wanted to discuss today is the endpoint management, unified endpoint management. So this is an acquisition from HP. This acquisition happened 2.5 years back. This takes care of your entire lifecycle management for your endpoints. So your endpoints could be anywhere between your PCs, your laptops, your desktops, your mobile devices of any OS which is predominantly seen like of Android, iOS, or Windows servers, virtual environments, even extension to kiosk, smart kiosks that are very common today. So running one of the OS like Android predominantly. Your ATM machines, we have been doing that for long now. Diebold is our biggest customer in managing ATMs, POS devices. So we manage everything in the sector that I talked about. And when we say we manage, the functionality varies for each of those. If I look at from a traditional endpoint perspective to the likes of a laptop or a desktop, we start with an inventory for hardware and software. We provide you a complete, detailed, granular hardware, software inventory. We understand and help you with your centralized, automated patch acquisition and patch deployment process for your OS and applications. And then we help you with software catalog build, software build, and then the software that you have built help you to distribute across your location from the central point of view. So it can either be push method or a pull method. Once again, self-service comes into picture there. So we also help you in understanding the vulnerability and compliances across these. So this is across your PCs, desktop servers category. And in terms of mobility, we do both the device management and the application management. So in terms of device management, managing the device completely in terms of security, in terms of controlling what should be the password, whether you want to disable, enable camera, you want to kind of enable certain policies for your VPN configuration, wireless configuration as the user registers through an email configurations to be done. And also your application lifecycle for enterprise apps, especially so through the registration based on the user, based on the group he belongs to, certain applications are automatically deployed, and then these applications are also secured for a DLP process. So you have password protection. Additionally, you can control the application for a content print, content copy kind of a thing, and especially on all this, we have something called as a desired state automation. So that is what something this tool will help you to kind of set a state what you want to run across the organization, which will be desired state for that specific organization to run, so that you maintain that state throughout the management of your endpoint. So an example here could be you want your desired state to be to disable USB across the organization, and that is run through as a policy using Radia. So that's one of the examples. So the next topic is Sentient. Sentient is a very cutting edge technology. This is one of our newest invention, which is an extension to Radia. So it needs Radia as a backend core platform. So here what we do is it's basically running on a big data platform, and it helps you to understand the compliance state of your organization on a query base and real quick. You know, when I say so, we have tested for more than 1 lakh of systems. If you want to run a test case, you get a response in 60 seconds, right? So the use cases could be, I want to know all those systems, which is across 50-60,000 systems. How many of them are having this specific file in or this specific entry in the registry, so that will help you to know the vulnerability. For how many of them do have antivirus, do not have antivirus. So how many of them have CPU more than so and so value. So how many of them does not have an antivirus installed. So there are, so like this, there are 200 plus queries which are supported, which will help you to bring up your real-time status of your compliance for your endpoint management. So the next big thing, IoT, which is a quick reference extension, as Akhil was pointing on, is a extension of our traditional Epona monetization layer, which we cover the entire life cycle of IoT, right from collection of data, bringing out that analytics, creation of API services of the data that you collected and the integrations that are available across the platform, access to different models and different business applications, and then a partner onboarding process, customer onboarding process is built within the application for IoT service creation and IoT service consumption, and payments and gateway. So that's also part of the application. So these three pillars, one is your agile service enablement, your partner onboarding, and then your payment and settlements. So when you talk about payment and settlements, once you create your services, once your collection is over, then your partner onboarding process will happen. So wherein you define who is supposed to onboard, what kind of services are available to them, and what kind of contracts are available to them. And then your settlements will happen in terms of how much they have to pay based on certain conditions that you want, or you want to, tri-party payments that you want to do, or integrating with third-party settlements like PayPal or something like that. So everything in terms of payment and settlement is also taken care of. So IoT is something that is where we are heavily investing on and seeing how we can kind of address that market also. So this is where I will stop now. So I will kind of take questions from here on, looking at the time, and then we will proceed.
Yeah, thanks, Manjunath. This definitely was really very useful, and I'm sure all our audiences understood about the kind of products and services that we have to provide, and especially the cloud platform. So thanks a lot. Thanks to Akhil also. Friends, with this, I'll now open the session for question and answer. So Manju, just give me a moment. I'll just pull out the questions that are coming in. Okay, here's the first question, Dick. What is your investment on support, as we see there is a huge customer base to sustain?
Okay. That's a very relevant question, especially coming from a cloud platform customer. Yes, there was a time during this acquisition, you might have felt that there is some lack in support. But once we have taken that, once we have finished all that process in terms of legal and a complete handover is done. So what has happened is, it's not only a product acquisition, as I said, it's a huge customer base that we have, and supporting this base becomes a very critical requirement, especially in terms of business, because the support revenue is a huge stream here, right? And also sustenance and expansion, looking at a happy customer is very important in any business. So that's where we have retained the entire support engineering QA from Citrix. So that resource that we have made our best effort to do so. So the whole resource set, most of the support team works out of Bangalore, and then we have our engineering product management team sitting out of Hyderabad, and some support team based out of North America. And the newer investment on this side is we are bringing up with a huge customer support center even in Sri Lanka. So that makes it very clear in terms of we know how critical it is, we know how important it is to keep our customers happy, and that's where exactly we are investing on sustaining that and bringing out our best support system in place.
All right. So here's another question, that what is the focus for cloud platform in terms of investment?
So from an organization perspective, there is definitely a drive. Definitely, this is one of our leading technology that we are going to invest on. And the reason for that is the industry readings in terms of business capacity that we are seeing on the cloud. So we are heavily investing there on that. To give you a certain example or certain facts, apart from where it was to sustaining those, and we are on the run today and maintaining that versions on the cloud stack. So we are one version less than cloud stack always, and that's been our interest, and we have made sure that our customers are updated with all the new features that are available in the open platform with the more supported way. So that's one part. And secondly, what we are, certain things that are coming up with confidence, I can share that there are some cutting edge technology on the cloud that are coming up. We are thinking of bringing up something really big, cloud in 60 minutes, right? A complete appliance which bring up the whole automation in cloud enablement, not only an IaaS, even to the extension of platform as a service. So there is a huge investment there. We are investing heavily on extension on network services, especially on virtualization and software-defined networks, integration with a few of the vendors. So we are trying our best to cover all the aspects which are the real need of the hour, and our investments are going in that direction.
Right. So there are a couple of more questions that are coming in, but I'll take this last question. The other questions will definitely attend offline. So the last question for today's session, how cloud stack is different or efficient than OpenStack?
I think I touched upon this a little bit early on. To take a minute on that, cloud stack has been there for longer, and our cloud platform is a derivation of cloud stack, right? So now the difference that I can bring in on this discussion is the key that we have seen, and every time we have seen when we really use the product, is the simplicity, the ease of deployment, managing that, and administration. So it's much easier in managing that, and most of those requirements can be met with cloud platform. So when it comes to OpenStack, it's much more robust in terms of granularity it provides. There are a lot of moving parts. You might get a lot more flexibility in certain use cases, but then on a long run, even to install, it takes a much longer time. Managing them, administration, to run it, sustain that is a difficult task. So this is how we can clearly differentiate these two platforms in a way.
All right. Yeah. So this was the last question for today's session. Friends, with this, we are ending our session today. Thanks a lot for sharing your time. Manju and Akhil, thank you so much for addressing today's webinar. Wishing everyone a very happy weekend. Thank you all.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks everybody.